Well, we're about to go global in a mini trip around the world to take a look at what is going on in the global startup ecosystem and where the funding gaps or opportunities or abundance may be. Now, the last couple of years, if you take a big step back and look at global funding to startups, there have been spots that haven't been quite so bright and others that have been extremely well funded. So to take us through some of the differences that are seen in different parts of the world, delighted to welcome a really diverse group of panelists to take us through this today. So let's welcome to the stage our moderator, Samantha Evans of Startup Genome. Come on out. We have Mark Anthony Thomas, CEO of the Greater Baltimore Committee. Sivarajah Ramanathan, CEO of StartupTN from India. And we'll also be welcoming Kashifu Inuwa Abdullahi, Director General and CEO of Nigeria's National Information Technology Development Agency. Samantha, over to you to kick us off.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us, everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to kick off, we're talking about global scale-up ecosystems. I'm from an organization called Startup Genome, and we run an annual global scale-up report, which everyone seems to look at quite a lot. And what we found last year in 2023 was it was a year of conflicting stories for the scale-up and startup global ecosystems. And we saw that inflation eased. We thought that would result in lots more investment across the whole of the world, but that's not happened. Early 2024, we did see some of that early stage investment increasing. For early stage companies, the ticket prices were higher, even though the investment was lower. So we are seeing that trend continue on, although we are still in a tech winter, as we like to say. It's not all bad news. We have people in different ecosystems around the world who are trying to improve the conditions for entrepreneurs and scaling companies to grow. And that's what we're here today to talk about. What interventions have we seen in 3 very different markets on the face of it, but actually are all looking at very similar areas of growth and looking at how do they impact their ecosystem with different interventions. So I'm going to be with you, Mark. You've got more than 2 decades of experience working in economic development across the US in some of the most complex ecosystems in LA, New York, and others. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing right now and some of the priorities for your current market in Baltimore.
Great. First, I'm excited to be here. So what you see happening in the United States is so much VC and so many startups have historically been in Silicon Valley. I worked in New York for a long time, and we were trying to really build up New York's tech ecosystem to be the 2nd largest in the world according to Startup Genome. But what you see now is that second-tier markets are really building the infrastructure so that when scale-ups and growth firms are looking at new markets in life sciences and artificial intelligence and clean energy, that they have all the tools they need to be successful. And that's the work I've done in Pittsburgh and now Baltimore, which is near our nation's capital.
Thanks, Mark, and we'll come more to that later. Silver, I'd like to invite you to introduce more about what you're doing with TN Startup and your ecosystem that you're looking at in India.
Yeah, so thank you for having me here. So, I mean, like, India is the latest buzzword, or, like one of the prominent countries in the startup arena. So in India, the southern part of India, we come from, where I come from, the state of Tamil Nadu. We are a very strong manufacturing base and maybe the deep tech and SaaS capital of India. We have, as a country, we have over 1.3 lakh or 1.3 lakh of startups and 100 plus unicorns. But now I would like to share more about my state, which is one of the well-developed state within the country. So we started our mission. Now every state government in India has a startup mission, to make their own state and as a whole the country as one of the global competitors. So like that, Chennai, our capital for our state. So we are also, positioning ourselves and, trying to, position Tamil Nadu as a global startup ecosystem. But our strategies are something different. If you want me to put in very simple, we are not very crazy or very excited about creating unicorns. Say for example, unicorn is measured as $1 billion companies in our rupee terms. It is 8,000 or 8,000 crore valuation in terms of Indian rupees. So we are strategizing and creating policies to create 100 crore enterprise value 100 crore enterprise value companies instead of $1 billion, which is equivalent. So that the meaning is that we need, as a country, we can't afford to have handful of unicorns with all the capital going to one chunk of people, or we can say investors or VCs, whatever the name you can mention, or the founders. But we have a different problem or different approach to solve the problem. That is, we have a very large population, so that the wealth should be distributed, growth should be distributed, talent should be available for each and every company. So every of our schemes, our policies are devised, or most of our policies are devised according to having everyone together. Our Honorable Chief Minister used to say, everything is for everyone. So that is our fundamental thing. So in this last 3 years, we were very active in our region, and we have rolled out many ecosystem components like investment opportunities, mentorship opportunities, building the largest incubation network. We have 120 incubation centers in Tamil Nadu, which is the largest in the country. And beyond that, we've recently started our office in Dubai, and we are moving up to US and Singapore. So in the first round, I just wanted to say, we are doing all the best efforts to create a good ecosystem for our startups to start and as well as to scale, also to connect with global resources.
And that's music to my ears. I'm from Manchester originally in the UK. It's a second city. A lot of focus was always on London and how London was growing, but how do we diversify so that everyone in a nation is benefiting from innovation? And that's something similar that's happening here as well in the GCC. I now live in Abu Dhabi, down the road from Dubai, and they're also diversifying their whole economy, so the innovation is a thread throughout. And it's really interesting that economic development has changed quite rapidly in the last few years. Over the last 20 years that I've been working in international markets, we see that unicorns are what everyone's looking to do. But I said, when I lived in San Francisco, that San Francisco is a graveyard for scaling companies. A lot of companies would go there, but it's so competitive. But, sounds like your strategy is really to build the startups, the early stage companies, attract that talent, the IP heavy activity, and that looks like what you're trying to achieve.
When it comes to inclusivity, we look at mainly in three terms. One is the geographical inclusivity, where if you look at the Indian, the landscape, most of the startup activities are happening only in the capital cities of every state.
Yeah.
If you look at Karnataka, it is Bangalore. If you look at Maharashtra, it is Mumbai. So what we are taking a different approach. The development should grow beyond Chennai. So the first step in the last 3 years we took, because last 3 years only we are very active when the new government took over, so that we have created 10 different hubs across the state. So now when in 2021 we had 2,300 startups, now we have 9,400 startups. But in 21, the Chennai's contribution was 78%. Only 22% was distributed among the other cities. But now the numbers have increased, but the Chennai capital city's contribution only 56, and the rest of the percentage, 46%, have distributed among the other regional cities. So that regional inclusivity is one. Then the gender inclusivity. Out of the 9,400 startups now we have in Tamil Nadu, 49% are women-led startups. And also we have a different problem compared to any other part in the world. We have the caste discrimination. So we have launched special funds special market access schemes for, people from the marginalized communities, even the scheduled tribals or the scheduled caste, transgenders. So we are also giving equal opportunity for them to, have an equal opportunity in the startup world also.
That's fantastic. Great to hear. And Mark, I'll just move on to you. Hi, Kashifu. The Dubai traffic, we all know what that feels like today, that's for sure. Mark, I'll just come on to you following that, really. We were talking earlier about hubs, tech hubs, how do we create that? And you were giving us a really interesting example around federal investment in the US and how that's really changed the landscape of these hubs, and it's particularly the one that you're working in right now.
Yeah, so really over the last few years, the federal government of the United States has started to invest in creating and catalyzing more innovation outside of the coast. And so one of the signature programs is called the Tech Hub program, which is a $10 billion initiative that's part of our US CHIPS Act that will catalyze investment in 31 hubs. We see other programs through innovation engines, build to scale. If anything, as an entrepreneur and investor, there are new markets that you should be paying attention to beyond the traditional markets. They'll be specialized in key technologies that align with either national security or where there's a huge market opportunity for companies that the federal government has vetted that they want to be supportive of, that they want to see more private capital help catalyze as well.
Sure, and that long-term strategy around, looking at challenges and what's happening in certain markets is really where the startup ecosystem grows, right?
That's correct, right? And then you see the business community and corporate community, and I work with over 400 partners in Baltimore who are all supporting this type of innovation and supporting startups that want to expand to these types of markets. And so it's actually a great time if you're a company looking to expand to the United States to really look across the entire country to see what market is best suited for where you actually want to see growth.
Yeah, your specific technology and the problem you're solving, and then don't just look to the West Coast.
That's correct.
Yeah. Kashifu, really nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us. It's really great to have a representation from Africa, and you're representing Nigeria here today. And I saw that there's a big diversification happening across your region in all different sectors to grow your economy and diversify your economy. How does innovation play into that? And can you talk a little bit more about what's happening in your market?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, and my apologies for joining late. I think when we talk about innovation, you cannot talk about innovation without considering human capital. And Africa is the future of human capital. We have the youngest population in the world, the digitally native population. So when you talk about innovation, startup ecosystem is about using this talent to solve or to take ideas from inception to impact, and using technology as a source of inspiration to tackle real life problems. And Africa, we have many challenges that need innovative solutions to solve. In addition to that, Africa has a lot to offer to the global ecosystem, because the global ecosystem can never thrive without talent. So Africa will bridge that talent gap. According to many researchers, by 2030 we'll have more than 85 million talent deficit, which if left unaddressed could lead to more than 8.5 trillion US dollars in unrealized annual value. So in Africa, we have realized that our greatest resource is our human capital, not the natural resources underneath us. So we are intentionally harnessing that to position Africa and Nigeria in particular as a global talent net exporter. So as a government, we've come up with so many initiatives. Our vision for Nigeria is to make Nigeria a digitally empowered nation. fostering inclusive economic growth through technological innovation. So we've identified our strength in terms of human capital, and we are fostering digital literacy and cultivating talents. In terms of digital literacy in Nigeria, we developed the National Digital Literacy Framework with an ambitious target of achieving 95% digital literacy by 2030. The digital literacy will increase our citizens' digital fluency so that they can use these innovative services and digital offerings, which will increase the market share globally. And the talent is for us to build our proficiency so that we can build our digital offerings in country as well as contribute in bridging the global talent gap.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think all the regions that we're talking about here, I know 200,000 engineers are coming out of your universities annually, and software engineers, right, coming out every year annually. Same for the US, is really putting a lot of money behind education to make sure that everyone has got the skills for the future. We've only got 5 minutes left. It goes very fast up here. And so I'd like to come to each of you and really tell us, anyone in the audience who might be looking to expand their business, why should they come to your region? And we don't want the normal things, you know. Give us something that's different.
Yeah, so let me start. So as my counterpart from Nigeria said, so we are also one of the contenders for the talent. Even the Startup Genome report 2024 says Tamil Nadu is 10th affordable intellectual talent pool and 25th in the globe. So that is one major, because for startups it's all about going depth. The intellectual efficiency should be more, even it be technology or marketing or whatever the business model you work around. So that that technology, the intellectual talent pool is one very important. 37 out of 100 top institutions are located in Tamil Nadu, so that is number one. So that companies thinking of operating in in India or looking at India, the first destination, the first port of call may be Tamil Nadu. The second is we are a strong manufacturing and deep tech hub. So companies working or thinking of working in around manufacturing and deep tech, that is the second option. The third, I don't want to go on and on, but the third will be India is a very complex country with multiple states, multiple cultures, multiple languages. So we are 100% English speaking state compared to any other state. Couple of states are good English speaking states. So this can be the launch pad or gateway to India. So these three things, the talent, the manufacturing capabilities, and the ease of access to the big Indian market will be available in Chennai. So
thank you, super. Mark?
Awesome. So Baltimore sits in the heart of the Northeast corridor between New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C. But within our market, we're aggressively building out the support around artificial intelligence and life sciences, manufacturing, and the creative economy. And for companies or startups or investors that are looking for a market where that is going to be central to its growth, they should look at the Baltimore region and the state of Maryland.
Kashifu.
So imagine a place where innovation is recognized and rewarded, where you can have access to the young, talented workforce, where regulation is being seen as an enabler or as an enabler to unlock opportunities rather than to stifle innovation. That is the Nigeria of today, and the future is more brighter because the government we have today is a pro-business government. We have developed our National Startup Act, which encourage people to come and start businesses using technology to solve real-life problems, and you get incentives for doing that. And also in terms of infrastructure, the government is heavily investing in creating technological infrastructure because without the infrastructure, it will be difficult to start you and grow your business. And also, the mindset of that Africa is not ready for business is no longer true. If you look at the telecommunication revolution in Africa, it started when people don't want to invest in anything in Africa, but Mo Ibrahim invested. He created infrastructure, electricity, and everything to start a telecommunication business. And telecommunication today has catalyzed a lot of business activities. So we believe AI and other emerging technologies will do more. Because if you are looking for where to make economic and social impact, is Africa today in the world. So Africa and Nigeria, we are open for business, and Africa is the future, is the digital frontier, because we have the youngest population, and by 2050, Africa will be the largest continent. Okay, so 2100, not 20.
So have you got room for us? You've got a lot of people in Nigeria. It sounds like we all should be heading that way in the next few years. Thank you very much. So I think, from what I've taken from this session, diversity, and making sure that we're looking at second cities and maybe in locations where we've not normally looked at for tech and innovation. That's where the innovation is happening, that's where the funding's happening, and that's where the talent is. So thank you everyone for your time, and thank you all three of you for taking the time today to talk more about your markets.